I'm Bethany Davis, and this is Being Real.
Sponsored by the Weight Clinic and Alpha Insurance.
She's worked alongside some of the biggest names in Hollywood, and she lives and works right here in Montgomery, Alabama. Dr. Tonea Stewart is working on changing lives and changing the world around her. This woman, who is a legend in her own right, has a gift for finding talent and pouring out all she's learned from her incredible experiences into her students. Dr. Stewart has a powerful vision. She sits down to share what she sees and how she teaches others to see it too.
Are you tired of feeling drained, being overweight, having no motivation? The Weight Clinic in Prattville can help. Weight loss isn't just a physical challenge, it's a mental challenge. That's why we support our patients every step of the way with physician-directed weight loss. We offer a variety of weight loss medication, supplements, and services tailored to your personal goals. Reclaim your motivation and energy and love you again. The Weight Clinic in Prattville. Call us today.
Communities don't just happen. They're built by people. From the big moments to the small acts of kindness. It's the authentic connections we make that define us.
Nice.
At Alpha Insurance, we know that every day you're building things that are worth protecting. Because for us, this is more than coverage. It's who we are. Alpha Insurance, building tomorrow together.
Obviously, you have made a life out of drama. But do you consider yourself to be dramatic?
I don't.
No?
I really don't. I just think that life is drama, and drama is life. One mirrors the other. We try to affect reality in drama so that we can see ourselves, hear ourselves, and help ourselves. That to me is what drama is all about. So when we wake up in the morning, we're blessed to be able to get up, but we have to know that the day is not in our purview to see ahead. So we have to live it as we go and ask God to order our steps as we move about. So to me, life is drama and drama is life.
I love how it's just all intertwined because you really have intertwined your life with drama. We'll come back to that a little bit later, but I have to talk to you. I want you to talk a little bit about some of the dramatic roles that you've played, because we have seen you in some incredible roles on the screen, from A Time to Kill with Matthew McConaughey to In the Heat of the Night. You have played some incredible roles. Do you have any favorites?
Oh, that's a good question. They are all of my favorites, because for every opportunity that I've had, I feel blessed, because I know the monumental task of casting directors trying to determine who to select. And there are so many wonderfully talented artists in this country. And so it's hard for me to say that I have one over the other, but there's always something unique and special about each one. Like when I was in ER, I recall a lot about my mother-in-law, and I found myself allowing her to live in that character. And when I worked with Della Reese and Cicely Tyson in Touched by an Angel, that was so special to me because Della Reese wrote that particular episode for me, and the network decided that they needed Cicely in the lead, and I could be supporting, and Della would come to the set and say, I wrote this for Tonea Stewart. Where is Tonea? And I was like, I'm right here. So it was so much drama in that, and the experience of getting closer with Cicely in the process. Della and I had been close friends since 1971. Wow. And when I think about Walker, Texas Ranger, that I was a principal on there, I was a member of the jury on there. I was in so many different roles with the Walker, and getting to know his family, who were all a part of the entire set. I mean, his brother, his wife, family members were a part of the workforce there. And it was really great. I took my daughter with me, and she got to be an officer in the court in one of the episodes that I filmed there. So that was memorable. And then when I got to work with Andy Griffith with Matlock, and he requested me to perform with him in a special that we made. And the public didn't like the special so much because he was an evil man in Gramps, that particular television special that we did. But I had a chance to sing with him and rehearse with him and talk with him one-on-one. So that was a favorite. And then with A Time to Kill, working with Matthew McConaughey, but most of all working with Samuel L. Jackson. We discovered that we had known each other from undergraduate school. And I didn't remember it, but he did. And he said, wait a minute. We went to lunch one day and we were sitting there talking, and he said, I look at you and I said, they could have cast my wife in this role because you're so much like LaTonya. And I said, really? And he said, that's right. He said, I don't know why they didn't do it. I said, well, because I needed a chance to do this role. And we laughed about it. And when we laughed, he said, wait. Tonea, did you ever go to NATSA? I said, yeah, the National Association of Dramatic and Speech Arts. Sure. He said, oh my God. He said, I was at Morehouse and my director was Joan Lewis. I said, oh my God. Joan Lewis, she and my professor argued all the time. He said, I remember that. He said, and it was over you. And we laughed about it and we became close. And that friendship has lasted to this day. So when you ask, what is my favorite? And when I think of In the Heat of the Night, oh my goodness. Carol O'Connor, Howard Rollins, Denise Nicholas, these folk became a part of my family. I mean, Carol O'Connor was such a wonderful person. One day he was talking to me about playing Archie Bunker, and he said, I want you to understand one thing. I played that role so that I would be in a position to do what we're doing today. And I said, what do you mean? He said, and now I am the producer on this show, and I got you here. And he said, I have more African-American performers and artists working crew on this show than any other show in network television. And do you know he was telling the truth? This man embraced my students at Alabama State. One day he came to me and said, we're going to have a lot of extras, Tonea. You're always talking about your students. Why don't you bring them up? I said, oh, I would love to, but there's so many of them. He said, I'll send a bus. He sent a bus to Alabama State University and bused my students to the set, talked with them, ate with them, autographed pictures, took pictures with them. They were able to be extras. And then he even found one that he liked so much, he brought him back to play a special character, Charles Patton, on one of the episodes. This was a genuinely wonderful man. So Heat of the Night, maybe I can't. It was special to me too. I can't say that it was the most special because all of them were blessed opportunities for me.
Man,
and my students.
What an incredible list of names you just dropped with us, of the people that you have worked with. Any of them stand out? Obviously, you've made some really close relationships and some incredible friendships.
Oh,
but
yes.
Who stands out as one?
Angela, huh?
Who stands out as one that really influenced you?
Which of the artists influenced me?
Yeah.
Ooh. I was about to mention Angela Bassett because we did the Rosa Parks story together, as well as with Cicely Tyson. Influenced me. Ooh. Because we all had such a wonderful relationship. Angela Bassett is, I guess, the reason that I try to eat healthy today. That's her influence. Della Reese pointed out to me so many things about my personal character and what she saw in me. And then, of course, actress B. Richards and the man of many faces, Frank Silvera. Oh my God, I would have to say Frank Silvera, because Frank Silvera is living through me to this day. Um, he gave me an understanding and an appreciation of what he called a theory of acting that he called being, the American theater of being. And he told me that actress B. Richards was his first student. And it turns out that I ended up being his last student, not knowing that that was going to happen that way. But this man is so close in my spirit till I get emotional, just thinking of him and saying his name. And I pass it on now to my own son, my youngest son, and my daughter-in-law. All of my students at Alabama State University were taught the American theater of being technique for acting and for character and for study and for life. Those students who I taught on a daily basis, I tried to impart to them what Frank Silvera gave me. He told us that being is defined as existing in a perfect state, lacking no essential characteristics, which was an affirmation of self, that we didn't make ourselves, but who we are perfect in God's sight. We are perfect because that's how he made us. That's who he made us to be. So B. Richards talked about that being and that being perfect when she said, when she discovered as a child how black she was, how dark she was, and that she used to be, as a child, afraid of darkness. And she says, as she grew up, she embraced darkness and she's not afraid of the dark. So there was nothing to be afraid of or to feel bad about the color of my skin, the texture of my hair, the thickness of my lips or the broadness of my nose or the curves of my hips. All of that is perfect for me. If you're pigeon-toed, if you're knock-kneed, if you're blind, if you're crippled, if you still lack nothing. You exist in a perfect state, lacking no essential characteristics. What you should do is build on that. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself because the God you serve is in you. Trust him, believe him, follow him. Know that you are here for a reason, and you must extend yourself for that reason. And that reason is never about you. It's about what you can do. So Frank Silvera is known as a man of many faces. He was African American, born of Jamaican descent. Yet he played Chinese, Japanese, Mexican, European, very few African American roles, because he mastered the art of stepping into existence of the life of the character who was written on the page. He believed that experience comes before the word. So the word, when people just study the words, just learn the lines, they're not getting the character. They're not getting the essence of that character, that person that they're portraying. They have to understand that person's experience. So who influenced me the most? Frank Silvera.
Yeah.
And I'm right now, right to this day, with the help of my daughter-in-law, L.J. Stewart, and my son, Thomas Stewart, and 4 other students, Benita Hamilton Caesar, Leona Michelle Weaver, Shawanda Curry, and Antonia Woodard. We're putting together a manual because I won't be here forever. Bea Richards has gone on, Frank Severa has gone on, and being his last student, I want to pass on for the sake of the students that I've taught and for those that want to learn in the future how important they are and how what they have to offer is valuable. And they must sustain the traumas of life, the questions of life, the trials of life. Rise above it. Let it become a stepping stone, because that is what creates your experience, so that your words will have a reason to be. Wow. So we're working on that manual. We're doing a documentary. And I've been working on the artifacts that Frank Severa's family has put in my care, and Bea Richards' family has put in my care, and my artifacts, so that we will have something to show as evidence that we did exist and that our existence was to do some good for somebody else.
You have been an incredible giver-backer to this community.
A giver-backer. I like that.
You really have, though. You have stepped out and done so much for so many people and created experiences for so many people that without you may not have ever had those experiences.
I wonder sometimes, because God has a plan, and he made so many of us to be vessels to serve his plan. I feel like that's what I'm supposed to do, because all along, growing up in the Delta of Mississippi, I was determined I would be a medical doctor. Huh. And I really did dive into the sciences. But that wasn't what God had planned for me to do, I guess, because everything else just started to fall in place when I had to confront the challenges of becoming a medical doctor. And it was simple. Growing up, I've had all kinds of medals and awards for my science fair projects. And growing up, I witnessed so many of my family members ill with high blood pressure, gout, arthritis, diabetes. And I said, I've just got to find a way to help. That's always been a part of me. Help, help, help. My role as a little girl was to help my great-grandfather, Papa Dallas. He was blind, and I had to lead him around. And when we sat on the front garret, we called it the garret when I was growing up in the Delta. That's what we call it today, a front porch. But I had to stay within ear's reach of Papa Dallas, because if he wanted coffee, water, or needed to go back in the house, I had to lead him back in. And it became my joy to help him. And he had such a unique gift. Papa Dallas could tell who was coming up the dirt road by their footsteps, though he had never seen them, because he was blinded as a child. He never saw me, but he patted me on my head one day and told me that I was going to be a spokesperson, and I had forgotten that. Huh. I said, a spokesperson? I didn't even know what it was. I remember making the statement, Papa Dallas, I don't even not know what that means. I remember so much from my childhood. He said, that's all right, daughter, shows your bone, spokesperson, shows your bone. And he would tell other people the same way. Coming up the dirt road, he could hear the stride of their footsteps. And he would just, here come my preacher man, things like that he would say. Here come Nurse Essie Mae. Here come my mockingbird. He would just, and do you know, all of us that I remember became what Papa Dallas said. Maybe he planted a seed, or maybe it was his role to nurture the seed that God had planted. I don't know. But that helping was always a part of me. And I just knew that I was going to be a medical doctor. But when I got to college on scholarship in biology, my professor, Dr. Washington, was showing us an experiment of dissecting a raccoon. The dissecting part didn't bother me, but the hair on the raccoon and his eyes
Oh, no.
turned me away. I backed up in the classroom. I don't like those hairy little things like that. So I was in the hallway and I started to cry, and I was sliding down the wall to a squat as my professor walked out, and he said, "What are you doing out here?" I said, "I can't do it. I can't do it." He said, "Go wash your face. You'll be all right." I washed my face and I walked right back across the campus to Mr. E.J. Fisher's office. And he was my speech and drama teacher. And he said, when I walked in, the tears still strolling down my cheeks, he said, "I've been waiting on you." I said, "I beg your pardon." He said, "I don't know why you haven't been in my office to talk to me before now." I said, "Well, I'm coming today because I just can't be over there in the biology. I can't do it." He said, "No, because you're supposed to act and you're supposed to be a speaker. You're a performer. You're an artist. I've seen you at the competitions," because we had state competitions at Jackson State. And the rest is history.
And the rest is history.
But Papa Dallas planted that seed when he patted me on my head and said, "You's gonna be a spokesperson one day." See, Papa Dallas was blinded as a slave child because he wanted to learn to read and write. And the overseer caught him out there trying to learn his alphabets. That's what he told me. And made an example out of him for all the other plantation workers and slavers. You have no right to learn to read and write. It's against the law. When he told me that story, it burned and itched something in my spirit that will never leave me. I guess I buried it for a long time too, because I do not recall anything after Papa Dallas's death. I have a blank, a real blank space. I don't even remember the funeral. I don't remember any of that.
Wow.
It was so terrifying for me. And so I loved Papa Dallas.
Oh.
I was a little girl, so I just don't. I did remember when I was leaving Florida State after receiving my PhD degree, driving back to Mississippi with my car packed with books and plants and all kinds of things. Heading back home, it started raining. The song came on the radio, "You Are My Hero." All of a sudden, Beth, I pulled off to the side of the road. I got out of that car and I screamed. I remember Papa Dallas all of a sudden, because he made me, that day that he told me the story, he made me make a promise. I held my hand up to make a promise to him that I would go all the way through school as a little girl. And I would read every book that I could, and I would promise to tell his story. And in 1987, up until that point, I had not told his story. And it was while I was driving back in 89 that it came so clear to me. And he appeared so vivid to me. I said, I did it, Papa Dallas. I did it. And I'm going to keep my promise. So that's one person I made a promise to that had a fantastic influence on my life. And I made a promise to B. Richardson, Frank Silvera. And I'm working on fulfilling that promise now.
I would say,
Starting with my students, yeah.
I would say, Dr. Stewart, that Papa Dallas is still living in you, and I firmly believe that he has left his gift with you. I think maybe it's evolved a little bit with you, but you have had an incredible gift of maybe not, you're not blind, so you can see who's coming down the road.
Yeah.
But you can also see what is down the road for other people. And you have done
I could see it in my students. I would sit with them and I would get this feeling. And I said, you all stop. Oh, this is a powerful moment. And they would say, what are you talking about, Dr. Stewart? I'm talking about you. Oh, you all are great. And I know many of them thought that I was pulling their chain, but I really felt their greatness. Timothy Ware is now writing for Disney, and he's been on Broadway in Kinky Boots, and he's doing fabulous things. Marcus Henderson is on that television series where he was like a fireman. I said, I don't even know the name of all the shows they're doing. Graduated from Yale with a Master of Fine Arts. Oh, my son Thomas is dedicated to his editing and directing and passing it on to children. He's going to speak just yesterday to some children in the public school about their career and about how important it is to stay focused on what you're trying to do.
I want to ask you about your relationship with Twitch, who was a Montgomery native, who was a Dr. Stewart graduate, I think is it fair to say. And I've heard him talk about his time with you and how you made him feel safe, as you were just talking about earlier, safe to be him, just as he was created.
Wonderful young man. Positive, energetic, enthusiastic, God-fearing, wonderful mother, family. He never attended Alabama State University. Twitch was in the summer camps. And a part of my wrestle with losing him, I have a problem thinking that he would even think of hurting himself, because he was so giving and so supportive and so focused and so dedicated and so happy. That's what I saw.
Well, you know what, Dr. Stewart, I just love that as much as you have already done, you are just always ready and willing and available to do even more. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the work that you're doing. But gosh, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. You are a gem and a treasure, not just to this community, to the whole country, but to me, you have been such a joy to get to know. Thank you so much.
And you have been a joy to know and watch. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Dr. Stewart.